Namaskar. I'm Kumar Rakesh and you're watching Global Governance News. And today we're going to discuss the criminalization of politics. As we know how just is going on the development on the front of the drug cases in Maharashtra. How the minister Nawab Malik is trying to paint the innocent and honest officer with many allegations and trying to just create the new scene against the person concerned. So this is matter of concern. If you see the criminalization of politics in India and other ways worldwide, but I'm talking about India, the criminalization of policy means the participation of criminals in politics. Means that person with criminal background contest in election and gets selected as a member of parliament or a state legislature. It is said that politics had reached a stage where the lawmakers become the lawbreakers. In a democratic country like India, an increasing nexus between criminal and politics threatens the survival of the true democracy. It is now being trained. People with the criminal backgrounds have more influence in politics than people without the criminal background. The increasing percentage of, if you see the percentage, the numbers of the in the member of parliament, so I can give you one data, a small data, the increasing percentage of number of members of parliament who have a criminal background in 2004, 24%, 2009, the next election 30%, 2014, 34%, and 2019 43%, increasing year by year. After 5 years in India, elections are held. So we can see, analyze the data. So nearly about 50% of MPs in new Lok Sabha in the new government have past criminal records. The increasing number of members with the criminal records in parliament threaten the survival of any true democracy. Legal aspects, other constitutional provisions is different one. Disqualification of the criminal candidates. As the Law Commission in 179th report recommended amendment to the Representatives of People Act 1951. It suggested that people with criminal backgrounds should be disqualified for 5 years or until acquittal. It also recommended that person who wants to contest the election must furnish details regarding any pending cases with a copy of FIR and complaints. It also furnished details of all assets, but no action was taken on the recommendation by the government due to lack of consensus among the political parties. So this is one of organization ADR, a Social Democratic Reforms, very actively working and have worked with the decision recently in August. So the Representative Act of 1950 was amended by the inserting Section 33A, which requires a candidate to furnish information on whether he is accused of any offense with imprisonment of 2 years or any pending cases in which charges have been framed, whether he has been convicted for 1 year or more. So this is the criteria. And the RP Act, we say, and I mentioned the criteria to disqualify the person to contest the election. Section 8 of the Act says that person punished with a jail term of more than 2 years cannot contest election for 6 years after the jail term has ended. And the law does not bar any person who has criminal cases pending against him. So that is the main catch. So therefore, disqualification of candidates with criminal backgrounds and depends on conviction. I also tell you how many just the reports already framed in India, and so many committee report has been given, but nothing happened till now. 1993, I was witness to see the report of more than 1,000 pages But when he was laid in Parliament, more than 25, 3 pages, and that was the first report by the any bureaucrat, then Home Secretary Anand Vora. And after that, it is as I think so, as my just apprehension with this report. And however, Vora Sahab made the governor of Jammu Kashmir a long time and enjoy the power after retiring from the Home Secretary. So there are so many things we can understand how it is going on and how should you go. And there are so many examples also there. And nowadays also hue and cry on the uh, election commission. This election reforms should be taken for the country, and it would be so and there is so many things. And today, why why the region of criminalization, we as we think, lack of political will, lack of enforcement, a narrow self-interest, use of muscle and money power, and in fact against the people of free and fair election, affecting the good governance, affecting integrity of public servant, causes social disharmony, and many things. So we have Vandana Jhinganji, senior journalist from the Chicago, on this topic, and we have Dr. Rajesh Sharma. He's also social activist as well as a medico, uh, and uh, in India, and very actively. So I'll just take from Vandana ji. Do you think there is any this type of the crime and politics, the nexus in USA also? Do you have any references, any reports for that?
Good morning to everybody. Namaskar from Chicago. As you did mention, when you send me the subject line, so the first thing came in my mind was it is not relevant to the nation that I'm living in. It has to be
Yeah,
the
it is
nations
global.
like, yeah,
Yeah,
it means like, but here nobody is spared. Like, when we talk about, we do have recent examples. I'm just going to tell, we do have a sitting president, his daughters, I'm talking about President Bush, you can just Google it around. They were caught like DUI, driving under influence. Can this happen in Bharat? Tell me honestly. You have an answer. Means like, and then there has been a congressman who was from Illinois itself, and Aaron Schock. So he misused the funds. Like, there are funds that you can use for certain things. A very, very inspiring, very young congressman, very bright future, means like, and he had to leave his position. And then means when we talk about, you just read the statistics for
yeah,
Bharat. I mean, I am kind of, it pains us so much. So it means, is this, the politics in Bharat is a license for the criminals, to be honest? That's what it is. The number, the way it is increasing, it has become a big joke. That if you are working in a government sector, like, even for the private sector, you give your apartment to somebody for a rental, you do a background check. That is now in India too, the police verification or whatever you call. So when you are picking up an elected official, when he is filing that documents, why there is no background check, first of all? Because there is so much of funds which has been allocated to him for the welfare to spend for his constituents. But that they are doing it for themselves, because we are giving them a certification, a license. Why there is no, means like, it should be totally, you said suspended for 5 years. I said, I believe it should be terminated forever. They should never be allowed into politics from running from any political party. But we will not find the consensus in these kind of bills, like to be passed in the parliament, upper house as well as a lower house, because hamam mein sab nange kahin na kahin, like, so you scratch me, I scratch you. So how could it's when you are a government servant and you are a government employee, I should say, servant is not a right word, I take my word back. When you are working for the government of Bharat, and there they find there are some charges, FIR or this and that, so you lose your job. You lose your job, you don't get your job back. So, what about these politicians, those who are sitting? And the names are endless, to be honest. If we start from top going down, I mean, so this should be the priority of this government. I know they may face a big brunt, but when they are talk about क्लीन भारत, सफाई करना है, तो सबसे पहले यहाँ सफाई होना जरूरी है. सड़कों की सफाई can still wait. Swachh Bharat can still wait. Swachhta should start from the temple of democracy. This is my
Yeah,
call. Thank you.
agreed. Agreed. Dr. Rajesh Sharma, just Swachhta should be initiated by the top level temple of democracy. If you see in India and Bharat, just you see, according to, if you we realize if the district magistrate is honest, if the superintendent of police is honest, then all system try to be honest. There's a terror of the, if the prime minister is honest, but we have been just analyzing and viewing, no that impact on the central level, and everyone is uh, just busy to whatever they need and do to do. How just you analyze the present governance and the past governance in the form of corruption and the form of just the criminalization of the politics? The both are a correlated term.
The criminals in the politics has become a part of this normal. Unfortunately, the political system has deteriorated a lot after independence. Earlier, we called our politicians as a leader, which everybody used to follow and consider their uh, idols. But now, later on, many, though being the largest democracy, many these things entered the politics. Earlier, those even electoral system, because of lack of education, was very much faulty. The politicians, they relied upon malpractices for in the elections, so they kept those muscle men with them. They took the help of the muscle men during election. Later on, those muscle men who were uh, uh, who helped the politicians in the electoral system in elections, they later on they thought that why, if they are able to help out those politicians, and those politicians are winning because of them, they decided to enter the politics themselves, and to enjoy the power and all every this aura. So that this had deteriorated earlier after independence, because of their convenience. Whosoever government, the government was there, they promoted these kind of politics. Not even this criminal status or background, even qualification, even even a peon in the India, if he has to get employed, he has to have some qualification. But being
Yeah,
a
there
politician,
also they need to the certificates of just from the police station.
certificate, but yeah, but being a politician, you do not need any qualification.
Yeah,
So these politicians, or though actually they are the lawmakers, so they are making the law and allowing these things about just according to their convenience, and nobody asks them what is the qualification, their qualification, or this criminal status or
yeah.
whatsoever. Yeah,
Very,
everything
very,
is
very, very, very important. Just actually just a time of break, and after break, I'll check Rajeshji and then Vandanaji. Just how just society is going on. What's the reason behind it? Why there's a culture in just how we should clean just for a real kingness for society. Just time of break. Just welcome after the break. Just Dr. Rajesh is saying the how the corruption is also a part of the criminalization. When person become the corrupt, and after that they are called the criminals. Vandanaji, just you also know the how the situation and scene scenario of the Bharat, India, how it is going on in politics. The percentage also just grown up, as I told you, since the last 14, I think 16 years, 17 years, whatever graph data, every year 4-5% increasing the criminals in politics. That is also many forms. Actually, this is actually there are different type of crime also. If you go for the dharna and pradarshan and any state, they're also part of the crime according to law of the land. They are 144. They are just violate the all the crowd and just they became the slogans also. But two types of crimes: heinous crime and just this type of, we can say, the public form of crime. So actually, how just you analyze just who the heinous crime, the dacoity and the rape and the uh, all. So we can understand. So we can just divide it, the politicians, and also divide it, but so I can we just, my question is, how just you see the comparatively, and India and USA is part of it. There is also so many politician has been charged. Either we say the Clinton and that the Bush time. If you see the so many leaders and with the Russ Lumberg and the Novak and so many, but many Richard Nixon supporters also. Watergate scandal is a world big scandal. So how just you analyze the culture of corruption and the culture of crime between the two countries?
As you mentioned, you just given names yourself. That these people have been charged, but you should have been able to give me at least few names of Bharat also, those who've been
Many
charged,
names,
convicted. Now,
many names, many names.
means that's what, no, I'm just coming back to that. We
Yeah,
are
please.
just see, I'm just comparing, because when we say
I'm
about,
adding your point. Most of on the bail.
yeah,
Most
so
of the bail.
even with the 7 years of this government, I'm
Yeah.
being upfront. How could that be? Would I be able to, if I do something, even in Bharat, pickpocketing, I think the jail term is like 3 months, and so those people don't even get the hearing, and they are in the jail for 9 months because hearing they don't even get. But we do have on the means, so when we are talking about the percentage is increasing, and that percentage has not stalled after this government, which is in majority. I am not blaming this government to be part of, but then there is something definitely is
Yeah.
missing that they
Yeah.
are not able to act on. We do all know about Herald case,
Yeah.
National
Yeah.
Herald case.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
could that be? They enjoy all.
Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, and all are on bail.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so how could they enjoy all the perks? And a very simple example, recently in Kashmir, we just noticed as the people of diaspora, when this Mehbooba Mufti was in that house arrest or jail term, what she was there, it was very peace. There was not many things happening. But there has been, without her internet and all, her chamchas, her family members, everybody was quoting there has been human rights violation. She doesn't have an internet and this and that. Her daughter who's sitting in UK and stuff. But her daughter never see what her mother has been capable of doing if she's been given the liberty. And the day she has been released out of that house arrest, we have seen the unrest again in Kashmir. So why to bent upon? Why to surrender for these kind of forces? To be honest, पूछते हैं हम people from like, I think this should be a question for
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
individual, the population, maximum population of Bharat, as the taxpayers of Bharat, as well as we, the people of diaspora, those who take pride in the culture of Bharat. If India is being recognized in the world map, like when we talk about number one as a leader of, so India has to come out uh, and decrease. When you see the world's number one corrupt countries, like where does India stands? So if you get that statistics also, that is also alarming. Like where is the India's position? So when I am just saying that Swachhta Abhiyan, and I'm going to stress that again, it should start from the temple of democracy. Let this be upper house or the lower house. We have to set some examples. I know it will be brutal because a lot of people will not be able to tolerate, but
Yeah.
this has to be, I know, at a point, wish pan to karna hi padega.
No
Thank you.
problem. No, you are right. Just Vishpan is actually, I'm not defending and not the protecting the government, government, governance, and the who govern. Th- All are three different factors. And as we know it, and if you see, our Supreme Court of India has just tried to fight to clean up polls. And you say that 2002, SC directs all candidates to file affidavit detailing their criminal antecedents, educational qualification, and details of their assets. Afford voters right to know about the candidates antecedent to make an informed choice. 2013, as the Coises Supreme Court provision in Representatives of People Act allowed MPs and MLAs to continue their membership in House by merely file appeal against their conviction and sentence of more than 2 years in High Court. This meant MPs and MLA would be disqualified immediately on conviction and sentence of more than 2 years. And Supreme Court in September 2013, if you see, Supreme Court asked Election Commission to provide none of the above choice to voters to exercise their right to express no confidence against all candidates in fray. And March 2014, Supreme Court orders trial court to hold day-to-day trial in criminal cases pending against sitting MPs and MLAs and complete it within the 1 year from the framing of charges. Why I'm reading, I will just tell you after this finish. And August 2014, Supreme Court recommends to PM CMs not to include persons against whom charges have been framed in serious offences in their Council of Ministers. This is also significant. And March 20, 2016, Supreme Court refers to 5 judge constitution bench when the framing of charges in the heinous crime, which entails imprisonment of 5 years or more against the MP or MLA, would disqualify him. This also meant whether the person against whom charges framed in the serious offences be debarred from the constitutional election. And 2020 and 21 also, the ruling of Supreme Courts are there. But what happened? What is going on? Rajesh Sharma ji, why not the implementing the government, the ruling of Supreme Court as observed by the different PIL, the different cases filed in Supreme Court? What do you think? What's the reason behind it?
Unfortunately, no party is totally devoid of these kind of politicians, so-called politicians, we say. Some party may have more, some party may have less, but we can see people from that kind of background, criminal background, and all are there in every party. I do support the current ruling party, but there are so many people like Singer. There was in UP, he was charged with rape and all. There must be some truth in that. There are so many names also. So every party, they are dependent upon these kind of people. That I think all the parties, they should have their will, and they decide. Yeah, I think even court has to intervene if court definitely makes some, because these lawmakers will never make that kind of preference, that because they are the lawmakers, which consists of so many all kind of corruptions and charges. Maybe some people may be having financial charges, crime, and some people maybe some other criminal crime. So definitely, I think a court should intervene, and some strong law should be there regarding the qualification of the people who can contest the election. And in the public also, social awareness also should be there, that people, they boycott those kind of people who have any kind of any such past or history, should never be encouraged to grow in the society or given such relevance or importance. So this willpower and this willingness should be there in the politician, the society, everywhere should be. It should be there. I hope. I think.
So actually, Vandanaji, do you think the lack of willpower of the present government also in the past government also, just for the sake of the votes, they are just denying the rights of the people?
Yeah, as I earlier mentioned, because this is called, it will be brutal, a decision. Means it will be definitely a very brutal decision that one has to take. But for the slogan that they have given, they have to live to that slogan. I'm just
Yeah,
saying, सड़कें साफ करने से कुछ नहीं होने वाला. अगर ऊपर से सफाई होगा तो सड़क अपने आप से साफ हो जाएगी. Because one has to set an
yeah.
example, to be very honest. And 7 years is not a less time. But I can definitely compare 70 years versus 7 years. बहुत काम हुआ है. But on the contrary to it, and give me the date from your statistics. When was the National Herald case? Means when were they? Means the case was heard, and they have been on bail till that time. And what damage they have done to the nation from that period till now? Because for what we are worried about, if the Supreme Court can set a directive, we just saw one of the cabinet minister just day before yesterday, he had some problems with the Supreme Court judgment about Ayodhya Dham's decision. How could these people be ruling? I mean, like, you can very well imagine. And he has been an attorney also by profession. So this is very, means like, we are giving them, they always say, na, we are giving them more time to speak and rub India off, to be honest. Because the more progress that you want to do, unless or until these people are being leashed, so there will be you will always find some kind of troubles they will be creating. Because, you know, because I'm just going to speak pretty crude about this. If a dog gets mad, you just give them an injection, because there is doctor who's sitting. So I'm just saying that, because you don't leave them loose. They can bite anybody. And that is what is happening, because we are renewing their license year after year because once they are going, it is not only at the time of the election that it was Smriti Irani versus Rahul Gandhi from Amethi that you are trying to show his sheet to the people. It has to be shown time and again, because after 5 years, elections will come, they will go again, and then people have to be reminded. Let this be, because otherwise this is going to be very big disaster, because unless or until we take an action, a very strong action is definitely needed for the operation clean. You are muted.
So nice of you, Vandana ji and Rajesh ji. Just whatever you discussed here, just as you, Vandana ji said, the stern action, the very actually, strict actions should be taken by the government for the best governance for the society. And as we have discussed, there's so many things, and there's so many commissions report, so many Supreme Court recommendations. But why not politicians and the present government also implementing that report and the law commission report for the sake of the society, the clean society, as Vandana said, स्वच्छता की बात करना ठीक है, लेकिन उसको सफाई नीचे से ऊपर से नीचे होना जरूरी है. So what just for the temple of democracy, if you think like that, and as Dr. Rajesh also said, this you have the tendency, चलता है, should not be go there. Something you want to add, Vandana?
Thank you for giving me the time. I just say that when we make the laws, they've been passed right there in the temple of democracy. Like, Lok Sabha, then the Rajya Sabha, or either way. They have been, so it has been coming down to people. But when the lawmakers, those who are, when they start breaking the law, so what can you
Yeah.
imagine? I mean, the trust of the people, like,
Yeah.
if a common man does it versus that, they are not getting the license to have a member of parliament. They should get more rigorous punishment. So it
Yeah.
becomes, because you are serving the public. What
Yeah.
is the position of a member of parliament? It's not a career. It
Yeah.
is not a career. One should remember that when you and me are working, we are a journalist by profession. So this should not be treated. You are treated as people, servants, people. You're there to serve the people. That's why you have, if they realize that, I think that is what I'm saying. You are more responsible because you are handling public funds, which has been given to you to use for the public, and you're using it, you are abusing it completely. So I have one suggestion to say, there should be, means there should not be any softness to deal with these kind of people. Thank you very much.
And just you see the how the recent example, Nawab Malik, the minister in the Maharashtra government, is defending the criminals and just trying to accuse the honest officer. This is also should not be done for the sake of the democracy.
Absolutely, because if somebody tomorrow, first of all, we do have limited number of people, those who really, because you are celebrating Deepavali with your family and friends. Those people, even if someone is wearing khakis or whites or grays or blues, they are serving and keeping you protected. They are not holy. You celebrate. They don't celebrate because they are on the job. So why we are not treating them above this corrupt politician? Because if you take out the chitta of Nawab Malik, the officer, you means the politician that you're talking about, he will not stand, means even in no thought of an order, like in front of that honest officer. How
Yeah.
come that we are discussing about his religion? How come that we have been discussing about,
Yeah.
it should be, because this is itself calls for a termination of that politician, to be honest. Means,
Yeah. So I think Rajesh ji, Nawab Malik type politicians should be just sacked from the ministry and from the democratic process also. Do you think so?
Definitely, but in India, it is unfortunate that there are division in the thinking of other different political parties, like the party which are ruling in Maharashtra. They are supporting and promoting that Nawab Malik version of these his statements. Even
Yeah.
I watch many. There are a few news channel like I would like to name NDTV. They give those kind of people full, complete coverage and complete backing and time to utter their those kind of absurd things in the in front of in the public. So definitely because of this corrupt politics and these deterioration in the politics, these kind of uh, say corrupt politician or criminal politicians, they are being promoted and encouraged by few parties. So definitely all the parties should be should become unanimous that these kind of people should not be always promoted, and definitely they should be debarred from coming to this position. Then only I think it will be in the long term we can see that these kind of people
Okay.
the decriminalization of Indian politics can take place, because
Okay.
there are many political parties, they promote and encourage those kind of people. Like, but
Yeah.
even all the parties are having a few people that um, uh, which have some that kind of background is there. So all the parties will have to come together and think about it.
So nice of you. Just you, both of you, just your just already shared your views on this the criminalization of politics as well as the India and USA and other parts of the world also. The how the society is sustained with the only, I think so, honesty and transparency, not the on the lectures, but the work on the real ground. If you can, if you should, then we can just talk about the clean India, Bharat, and the clean world with the all type of corruption. We hope so for the best. Thank you so nice of you. You attended the show. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.